You'll need a flash drive. It makes it easier, especially for your first time, if it's your first time. I use a 16. It is a little bit slow, but it does work. The top one is an 8, but I prefer the bigger one. But I guess it's choice. I believe you'll need one at least probably 6 gigabytes or bigger. This is the RTL dongle. I bought this several years ago. I don't even remember where I bought it from, but I'm sure they're readily available on the internet. It don't have to be this exact one. I think this is a clone, but you should be able to find one pretty easily. You'll need to download Rufus, R-U-F-U-S. Usually the very first one that pops up from Google search should be the one you click on. And then once it loads, click the download button. That should bring you down to the download area. I usually select the very top one. Once that downloads, just leave it alone. Go back to the Google search, type in DRAGONOS with no space. It should be the very top one you click on. Once it loads up, you will want to click on the option that is for you. Most people will probably be clicking on the option on the right, which is x86-64. Once that loads, it will try to get you to download the DRAGONOS Noble version. You do not want that. So if it tries to download that, cancel that. Go back to the download page. It should load up to a page that looks like this. You'll want to click where it says Files. And then you'll want to scroll down. And as you can see, DRAGONOS is the very top one. And if you read the README, it does not include the OP25. What you want is the DRAGONOS Focal X R37.1. You want to click on that. Wait for it to download. I only downloaded the ISO. Most people will only need that. Once everything's done downloading, you can see I got the DRAGONOS Focal X ISO and the Rufus waiting. So we're gonna open the Rufus. It should give you a screen that looks like this. Insert your USB flash drive. It should show up on here. If it does not, click the pull down box and select the flash drive. Okay, and then you'll want to select the select button. Browse to your downloads folder, select Dragon Focal X ISO, click open. Okay, now see this little area where it says persistent partition size. I usually make this about half, sometimes a little bit more. That is to allow the operating system to have a drive to save on. Okay. Everything else should be marked as this. Sometimes I change the file system to NTFS, but most people won't have to push any other buttons except for the start button. If you get a pop-up that says you need to download something, go ahead and download that. Sometimes it needs an additional file. Also, if you get this message, just go ahead and click OK. And then, of course, it's going to ask if you want to erase all the data on your drive. Click OK. You will lose everything on your flash drive. Keep in mind, the faster your flash drive is, the faster this process will go, and the faster it will load the operating system when it comes time to load it. Also, at this point, once the ISO is complete and the USB drive is complete and you're ready to move on to the next, it's a good idea, if you have not already, to go ahead and plug in your receiver dongle, RTL dongle. Make sure it's plugged in the USB slot. Now we're done with Windows, so we're gonna restart the computer. And then if you already know how to get into your BIOS, then that's where we're getting ready to go next. If you're unsure, it may be a good idea to Google while you're still in Windows on what F key buttons to push. I'm going to be pushing on this computer Escape F1, F2, and I usually tap all three of those. I'm sure it's probably just one, but I usually tap all three as a precaution, and it always works. It may be the same for you too, not sure. It's up to you if you want to Google it now before you restart, or try the Escape F1, F2 like I do. As soon as the screen goes blank, I tap Escape F1, F2 until the BIOS screen comes up. And I just keep tapping them, each key one at a time, over and over again until the screen comes up. And then, focus, there we go. And then I change the boot mode. I don't have to change the boot mode. It will boot the flash drive without doing this, but for some reason it seems to boot a little bit faster for me when I change this option to legacy. Exit, save the changes. Okay, and then the grub menu comes up. Just press your enter button. Okay, it should boot up to a screen that looks like this. We're gonna go ahead and open the OP25 boat bod. So click on that. That should bring you to a DOS window. Focus. There we go. The Dragon OS has saved a lot of time. Everything's already ready. Special thanks goes out to them for their hard work. Okay, I saved my commands in a text file here on the desktop. To make that, all you gotta do is right click on the desktop, create new blank file, and then it will bring you up to a notepad like this, and you can type in your stuff and save it. And then all you gotta do is select your line that you want, right click, copy, go over to your OP25 DOS window, right click, paste from clipboard. Now I'm going to make it bigger so I can show you guys. Let me unhighlight it. Yeah, there we go. Alright. You got the opening line there, and then it's ./rx.py Paul Young, and then a space, --args, and then a space, and then an apostrophe RTL apostrophe, and then a space, and then a dash in. Okay, now we're going to stop there and go back. The rx.py, that's the pi program for the receiver. And then we're marking arguments. We want select the RTL dongle. There is other selections. Most people will be using the RTL. And then let's see, the dash in. And then you got apostrophe LNA colon 29 apostrophe. That is your gain setting. The instructions I read had it cranked all the way up to 47 or 49. Can't remember which one. But it didn't need to be up that high on mine. I got an outside antenna with a preamplifier, so that you may need to play with a little bit. But I'm keeping mine at 29 to keep the noise down a little bit. And then you got a space, and then a dash lowercase s. Now keep in mind, the lowercase and uppercase letters on this line is very important. It's got to be the right case. Okay, and then you got a space after the lowercase s. I use 2560000. That's the sample rate. I picked that because most of the SDR programs use that number, so I figured it would be wise to use that number for compatibility issues. And then there's a space, and then a dash O, lowercase, and then a space 2500, or I'm sorry, 25,000, 25000. That, I believe, is the bandwidth of the receiver. And then you got a space, dash, lowercase f, and then a space. Now this part's important. This is my frequency. Yours is going to be different, so don't use my frequency. You can get this from radio reference. This one I'm typing in is 770. Period 83125. Now there is a E6 after the digit that adds 6 zeros to the equation because the program needs the extra zeros. So on the next screen, if your frequency doesn't line up with what you got typed in, you may need to add a 0 between the 5 and the E. Some frequencies don't have 5 digits after the period. Some people have 4 digits and then they have to add a 0. And then we got a space, dash Q. Now this is the ppm, or the frequency offset. I'm going to show you how to get this number here in just a minute, because that's very important. Mine is set for 60. I see a lot of people set theirs for 0 or just -1 or 1 or a 2. I'm not sure why mine's off so much. Maybe that's normal for generic, I don't know. But that's what I had to do on mine. And then anyway, so it's a dash Q space 60 space dash uppercase U, and then let's see, a space and then a dash 2. That 2 right there is very important for TDMA systems. If you do not have that dash 2 on there, then you will get an error if you have a TDA system and it requires it. I use the dash 2 every time by default because it seems like as long as it's there, it don't matter. So if it's not a TDMA system, it'll still play. So I just leave the dash 2 there all the time. And then there's a space dash L, and then a space, and then it's a http://0.0.0.0:8080. That will send everything to the local IP address of the computer at port 8080. Now I'm going to stop right there because you guys are wondering how I got the offset, and if you don't have that right offset, this will not work. Focus. Okay. What I did to get that number, cubic SDR. When it loads up, I selected the generic RTL. I just left everything the same. See, look, the scan rate 2.56. Okay, see where the 256 is right there? Okay, that's why we did that. Leave everything alone on there. That is all probably going to be set to where it needs to be. And then we're going to hit the start button. There we go. Okay. Now, I got my center frequency on the right here set for the frequency that I need. So I'm going to click on it right here. See how I'm moving it around down here? I'm going to select it right in the middle of the signal that I see popping up. Oh, wait a minute. That's the, that's not the right one. I need the one over here, I think. Yeah. Okay. I need 770.83125. So I'm going to change this to 770. 8 831 2 5. Okay, so is that right? Let's double check it. 770-83125. 770-8125. Okay, so try to line up this green line to the right at the peak of that signal. I went ahead and muted my sound. It will sound like a bunch of data coming out of your speakers. Okay, now it says 770-833. That's what it says that I selected, and it may be off just a tiny bit from where I pointed at, but we're going to go up here to device PPM. You'll get this little screen that pops up. You can slide it over to the side. As you can see, I already got mine set for 60. And as you adjust this, see right now I got it at -53. See how it moved on the screen when I hit the OK button? If I go ahead and set this, this is where it's supposed to be pointing out on that pointer. To 770-8125. So now that pointer thing that I selected is right on. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and open up the device PPM. This is calibrating, and I'm going to, this usually starts off at 0 actually. So when you first open it, it will be 0. Go back up here. Move it to the side so we can see it moving. See, you can see where I just moved it. Okay, so, but basically what I did is I just moved this plus or negative until I got it to line up in the middle of that line, which on mine was, I believe, 60. I actually hit the plus and negative on this thing, I think 15 or 20 at a time, and watched it move, so I knew which way it was moving, and then I just lined it up doing that. Okay, it looks like it may not be exactly 60 anymore, so I'm going to adjust it a little bit while I'm in here. Let's try 58. Let's try it the other way. Let's try 63. Oh no, that went the wrong way. See, if I take my mouse and point it at where it's supposed to be at, it's actually drawing a line, and it's to the left, so. Oh crap. It's closer, so I think I'm going the right way. It must have changed a few numbers on me. But you get the point. You gotta line that line up with that peak. Okay, I finally got it. Looks like it's pretty close to being in the middle. I think my number turned out to be 36. Okay. So that will be the number. I always stop the device before I exit the program just to make sure it don't get stuck. Okay, so you want to change your negative Q number to the number you ended up with. If you don't do that, then your frequency that you have typed in will not be tuned to the right frequency, and it'll be off by so much that it will not be able to lock on to the frequency. Okay, in case you're wondering how to get the frequency number, radioreference.com. Once you go there, you can find your page for your city and state, and mine looks like this. The red numbers are going to be the control frequencies. They have a C next to them, or after the number. The first one that's on here that I have sometimes works, sometimes it don't, but it seems like right now they're using the second one, and that one seems to work about every time. I'm thinking it probably depends on where you're located at in the county, and depending on where you're at, different ones may work. Okay, so the ones in red with the C on it, those are the numbers that you want to try in there, in that spot. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and hit enter. You'll start seeing the screen change to this. You want to go over to the web browser and type in focus 127.0.0.1:8080, and then it should bring you up to a page like this. If you don't see anything happening or hear anything, that's okay. You see this frequency error right here? That tells you how far off. Oh, I got my sound muted. Okay, I'm already starting to hear it.
23:30.
I went ahead and muted it back. Okay, so you can actually make it pop up and tell you what is talking up here at the talk group. To do that, you have to program two files. It's not too hard to do, but I can make a video on how to do that if somebody can't figure it out and would like me to make a pretty easy short video on how to do that. I will. As you can see, look, the frequency error is moving. So basically that's saying I am about 200 or about 300 hertz off of my center frequency right now. It's tracking it and following it as it moves around a little bit. So to keep it from going off frequency, it's tracking it. At least that's my understanding. It seems like the more I have that Q number turned, if I go up a number, this frequency error will either go higher or lower. So what I try to do is try to keep it close to zero as possible. As long as it's not up in the thousands, usually it's not too bad. If it gets up too high, then I go back and change it. But generally the Q number doesn't change too much, so anyways, it's working. I just have it muted. Now this is a TDMA system. However, if I switch over to the 800 system, it is a P25 phase 1, and all I got to do is type in the control frequency. Basically, I just come back to this DOS screen, I press and hold control button, and then while holding that, press the C button, and that will break the program. And then I just up arrow one time, and then it brings what I just typed in back up, and then I can just left arrow, and then I can delete the frequency out and type in the new frequency. Or all you got to do is go to the web page, and let's say that I went to the 800 system. All I got to do is copy and paste it. And then right click and paste, but I'm not going to change it. I don't want to go to that other system. Not right now anyways. Anyways, that should be getting you guys up and running, and don't smack me around too bad if you've been trying for hours or days or months or even longer trying to get this system to work. And it definitely had me scratching my head for some time until I came up with some ideas and typed them in the search boxes and found out that some of my ideas was true, and they did actually have a OS programmed with this software already ready to go. I was kind of expecting Kali to have the software programmed and ready to go, but that was a little disappointing. But props goes out to DragonOS for this one. I just got to thinking, when you're rebooting from Windows to try to boot your USB flash drive, you may not have to go into your BIOS menu at all. I just do that because I feel like it loads faster when I do that. So you may only have to reboot your computer. But if you reboot your computer and it does not boot to your flash drive, when you reboot and it goes to the black screen for a second, you may only have to tap your F10 button, I think it is. Some computers are different. It could be F12. I think this one's F12, actually. But you might have to Google that and find out what F key to tap when you're booting up your computer to bring up the boot menu. And when you turn on your computer or reboot it from that black screen and you're tapping that F12 button repeatedly, it should bring you up to a menu of 3 or 4 options when you have your flash drive installed, and one of them should say your flash drive, whatever the name of it is. So just letting you know, in case you reboot your computer and you think that the flash drive ain't working or it's not booting up to it, that's why. Some computers are not selected to boot USB flash drives. So going to that USB flash, or that boot menu, going to the boot menu is probably going to be required for most people. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video. I'm not very good at making videos. I don't do it very often. I only do it when I feel like it needs to be done and other people have done this but didn't make a video. But if you like it and the video helped you, don't forget to hit the like button. Thanks.